Hey guys, welcome back. And Matt and I want to kind of touch on a topic that we've seen really pop up a lot in the PGA Tour over probably the last 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And it's, on the new Tensei Orange shaft by Mitsubishi. I think this shaft is definitely, it's been around for over a year now. There's been some players using it. Ricky Fowler played it, quite a long time ago. But when Tiger Woods puts a shaft in the bag, the game changes.
Totally.
When Tiger put that in his bag, just right there before Augusta, the world kind of stood up and take notice. What's this Tensei Orange shaft all about?
Yeah, and I think the momentum was building, as you were saying. There were so many different guys. Who was the first big player you thought that went to that shaft?
I mean, certainly Ricky was one of the biggest. Okay. He put it in play last season. Right. A lot of people thought it was a Tensei that was made for Ricky because of the orange. Okay. They thought it was the Ricky orange, but they didn't realize that there was actually a different sort of bend profile going on and different ideas. So, let's kind of maybe chat a little bit about that bend profile and we'll kind of give the guys an idea of what the Tensei Orange is and why these guys are enjoying it so much. So, you've probably seen a bit of a trend if you pay attention to this type of thing with counterbalance shaft. There's been a lot more of that in the aftermarket shaft world over the last few years, and this is another version of that. So one of the reasons they make a shaft counterbalance, one of the reasons, there's a few different reasons. A lot of it's kind of feeling how the player likes the shaft to feel. But this one is actually allowing the players to add a little bit more head mass. Okay. So there's tungsten in the kind of inside the weave of the butt section of the Tensei Orange, tungsten powder that's inside the pre-preg, which basically allows the swing weight to be about 3 points lighter. Okay. So if your driver's normally around D3, D4, you're now at D1.
Okay. So counterbalance, literally, like there's more weight up here than down here.
Literally, if that balance point of the whole driver was there, it then moves higher up that shaft. Right. So that's one of the kind of traits the guys are enjoying. I know Rory McIlroy, when he put it in the bag just prior to his win at Bay Hill, he talked about putting the Tensei Orange in rather than his original Kurokage XT because it allowed him to put more headweight into the driver and he was able to drive it a little bit better with that. Right. Okay. The other part of the sort of bend profile is it has an extremely stiff tip section. Right. Mitsubishi have used a material called MR70, which is the strongest carbon fiber that they've ever managed to produce. So what they call that is a sort of reinforced tip section. So Tensei White was already very stiff. With the MR70, they've made that extra stiff. They've reinforced that. So, for someone like Tiger, for example, he put that shaft in play because he hates the left ball. Right. He wants to see that ball somewhat of a fade, some left to right shape to it. And Tensei Orange is allowing him to do that.
And it's from the Masters. I think people would have noticed. I don't think I saw him hit many of those left shots.
There wasn't much
comparatively.
I saw a few to the right.
Yeah, to the right for sure.
I didn't see too many left, which I think for Tiger's a really good sign if he can start to, feel like he doesn't have that left miss in the bag. Like, obviously it's 16th tee at Bay Hill. He would have loved to have the Tensei Orange in the driver at that point.
And you said the shaft he played at Bay Hill, by your estimation, was a little on the soft side.
It wouldn't have been what I would have had him in for sure. That Matrix TP 6 HDE was a little bit on the soft side for my liking with Tiger. Now, it's a shaft that he'd played in the past and quite liked it. Right. But he played that in an old Nike head that had a sort of longer hosel in it. And who knows the way that shaft was playing. But that for me would not have been one of the shafts I would have selected for him.
Interesting. And then for Rory to go from the Kurokage to this, all counterbalance, do you think that's the reason he did it?
Yeah, I think whatever kind of they were looking to achieve with the feel and obviously just trying to get the M3 dialed in for him. He was struggling early on in the season. He wasn't hitting it as good as he normally does. So they had to find that chemistry between the head and the shaft, and that's the key with any new driver, any new product. You've got to find a head that marries up well with the shaft. That last video we done with the high launch shaft with the low launch head, so on and so forth. that showed that perfectly.
Yeah.
That you have to have a nice marriage between the two.
Mm-hmm. And we should mention it's not just Tiger and Rory. We've got Alex Noren.
Alex Noren. I saw Adam Scott put it in the bag.
Did he really too?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He had
Poulter has it.
Poulter has it. Yeah.
Did Justin Rose have it at one point?
He did have it at one point. That was the first shaft he used. Now I believe he's in a new prototype Diamana.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a ton of tour coverage right now for the Tensei Orange, and we're getting a lot of requests for it here in our store.
You're seeing the buzz around it to some degree.
People are keen to try and see what all the fuss is about. So it happens to be a seriously strong, seriously stiff shaft.
Yeah.
Which might be something that you like.
I might like. You never know.
So let's hit some with it. I mean, I'm keen to see what you think about it. Let's kind of configure it for you here.
And while you're doing that, one thing that I found interesting early on talking to you guys is no one gets paid to play a shaft on the PGA Tour.
Not anymore. I mean, there were some players, I believe, perhaps a couple of the companies that were based over in Asia were actually paying some of the Asian players because that would enhance the presence of their brand over there.
In overseas.
Overseas, but there's no money in paid endorsements to play a certain shaft.
Yeah.
Players would not make a little bit of money in an endorsement to risk losing a lot of kind of playing money.
And that's how you guarantee that whatever they're playing is obviously pretty good.
It's the best
thing
for them.
There's no benefit to them financially.
Yeah.
They're not hooked up with them as a contract.
They're out there testing now. The guys are more aware than ever. I mean, Poulter, for example, I remember when Poulter went into the Tensei Orange, he turned up at Lake Nona with his kind of bag of Pro V1s, and the Titleist rep met him there, and they went through 2 full days of testing. They had all the shafts there, and these guys know what these shafts do now, and they're getting smarter than ever before.
Yeah. But it's interesting because he's not the longest player.
It was interesting.
Poulter being, a 165 ball speed guy, something like that.
If he's hitting it good.
Yeah, and Tiger's the 178 ball speed guy. So depending on what you're looking to accomplish, they could potentially fit both.
Exactly right. I mean, I actually had the Tensei Orange myself at one point, and I'm more of a Poulter speed guy. I'm looking at 162 to 165 ball speed. I could not move the Tensei Orange. I hated the feel of it actually, because it just did not load. I'm a Tensei white guy.
Right.
I really like the feel of that shaft. But
it's interesting because, as you say, those are different. Blue is the softest of the profile.
It's the mid. The mid. Yeah, blue's the mid.
So there are 2 other profiles. If someone wanted, the technology, and it's clearly a good shaft.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the orange if you want to look at the white or the blue.
Exactly.
It could be a stiff flex, regular flex. You're still going to benefit from what is obviously a pretty good shaft. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the blue is played quite a lot in fairway woods by certain guys. I know Justin Thomas is playing that in his fairway wood right now. So the blue has a slightly stiffer butt section, even in the orange, but it has a significantly softer tip section. Right. So the white was kind of the choice of the tour players for a while, the Tensei white, but you're seeing now more of them go towards the orange. Okay.
Should we give it a little test?
Let's give her a little try.
So same, Tiger's using the M3.
9.5.
9.5. He's probably got weights forward, or we don't know what he does with his weights.
Yeah, I think last week, I could see the weights were kind of middle and toe.
Okay.
I think he's doing everything he can to eliminate that left shot.
No more hooks, yeah.
Aim down the left for Tiger's the play and let that bleed back in.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Let's see how it feels.
Let's see.
In my hand, it feels, doesn't have a whole lot of give to it, does it?
Well, launched pretty high, Matt.
It's a little high strike.
Pretty good strike, I would say.
It was okay, wasn't it?
Pretty good.
Funny that it launches that high, though.
I'm seeing that from the M3 head, to be honest.
So the head.
I'm seeing people launch it a little bit higher. So, I think I may have mentioned this in some of the other videos, but where some of the old TaylorMade heads, the message was to loft up.
Yep.
I'm actually seeing guys lofting down. So,
Really?
If you used to be a 10.5, maybe this year you're a 9.5.
So but still a low spin head, you've been saying.
Definitely a low spin head. And actually, I've seen players, the spin conditions change quite a lot as those weights move.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not what it used to be where you barely make a difference? Like you actually can tweak.
Make a fairly significant dent in that spin rate if you spin it too high by moving those weights forward. Yeah.
What would you say, just very roughly? Like 200 RPM, 400?
2 to 4.
But that's not nothing.
From front to back, yeah.
Yeah, that's not nothing at all.
Sounded a little high in the head, but I tell you what, this is going to go forever. You're getting a few frowns on the YouTube channel right now, Matt. You've just hit that 336 and you mishit it.
I haven't hit any other clubs today, and certainly not a different driver shaft, but feel-wise, it is very different. I don't know.
It's very stout, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not probably knowledgeable enough to say whether it's not loading or what's going on.
Yeah.
Something feels a little tough for me. I don't know
when
what
I
it
hit
is.
it, I was the same as you. I felt like my time, it was tough for me to get my timing with it, just because I couldn't really feel the load of the shaft.
The first 2 swings, I really felt like I've jammed on it a bit in the downswing. But I'm honestly not really one to strike it high on the face, so that's kind of interesting that that's the way it started.
That sounded like you caught that one well, Matt.
Yeah. Much more center.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, you can see why they're choosing this to not hit a hook, because that shot felt like a hook to me, but did not end up very far right.
Interesting. See a couple more.
Just a bad swing.
Tell me, Matt, did you feel like you're having to work quite hard? Is it, to kind of
totally
load the shaft? Do you feel like that's...
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I guess my first question would be, does this suit a person like me that transition-wise I'm pretty, I guess, smooth?
Smooth.
Slow? Doesn't really suit that type of swing, maybe?
No. I mean, I wouldn't... if someone like you tells me they're struggling to feel the shaft load, you're timing based. Like, that's where your speed comes from. People ask me that all the time. How does Matt hit it so far? It's just timing. You sequence your swing so nicely.
So it's, something like that can really throw you off.
Yeah.
Where, right at the top, it's funny, if you had some time to work with it, I wonder if maybe you would kind of get used to it. And
well, that was actually the story from the guys at Mitsubishi. It was that Tiger actually tested the shaft early in the season.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he tested it back in the, when the M3 and M4 first came out, and he actually couldn't turn it over. He was his miss was a block to the right.
Okay.
So I think in tournament play, what he was finding was that he was hitting a bit more left in tournament play. So he thought, okay, well, I'll give that Tensei orange a go because I know I can't turn that one over. So it just sometimes when they're under the gun, these guys do something a little bit differently. They maybe load it a little harder, or their adrenaline gets going.
They get quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the pace of my swing, I mean, someone like Poulter, for example, could probably fit his whole swing in my backswing.
Yeah,
like
so
tempo-wise, are totally different.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't want to say that there's no way I could play the shaft, but like if you gave me 5 swings with this and 5 with something else, I'd probably say, well, looks cool, but it's maybe not the best for me. Let me try to hit one more. The funny thing is, I honestly think it's making me hit higher up on the club than other shafts I've tried, which to me is actually good because I tend to strike it low. So is there any reason why I might be finding that, or is that a bit of a luck of the draw thing? I
mean,
today?
If I was going to throw a guess at that, we talk a lot about deflection and the way deflection of the shaft influences
this
strike
way?
point. If that reinforced tip section is deflecting less, the head will not be moving up as much.
Right. So if I can just roughly try to illustrate, you're saying it's not doing that as much?
It's not doing that as much in deflection.
So staying lower, catching the ball higher.
That is one theory that could be very possible as to why your strike is higher in the head.
Because first of all, that makes total sense to me. And I almost feel as I'm coming through, I know I'm hitting up on it, but I don't feel like the club, as you say, I don't feel that bend at the bottom that would give me the bottom of the club more.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously, you know, you said it wasn't the feel that you were really chasing, but and you can almost see that in the strike point. It's a little too variable for our liking.
Yeah.
It tells me you're not timing it perfectly, player of like yourself. But you know, it's kind of misreading this club head speed a fraction high there. But the ball speed is accurately measured at 170, just shy of 174. It's probably as quick as we've seen your ball speed. You know, 171 average, 15.4 with low spin. It's not much to be upset with there, is it?
Yeah, but it's the funny thing about that is that you could pick a different shaft that I guess I felt better with.
Yeah.
Probably could get the same numbers.
You could get the same numbers and
do
have
a little
better
strike.
timing. That's exactly right, and that's why we're not always governed by the numbers.
Yeah, and it's also a reason why you shouldn't say that shaft is doing well on tour or whatever. At least you got to at least see if it. Because I actually, when I started seeing it, I was going to text you and say, should I try that next time for myself? And now that I've tried it, just from a few swings, I would say it probably doesn't suit me, just feel-wise. But that's why you come and give it a shot, right?
That's right. I think from a functionality standpoint, the shaft is awesome. It does its job very, very well. But like you say, if you're a feel-based player and you rely on the way the shaft loads to create your timing, then it may not be the one for you.
I mean, it's a means to an end because most of those guys are trying to hit fades that are using it, I would say. Like Alex Noren being the number one, he doesn't swing that fast, but he never, ever wants to hit a draw.
Never wants to hit it.
Right? So for him, he's like a poster child for this. He's like, oh, that's the shaft that I'll never draw. Yeah,
even Ricky changed his mentality to trying to fade it a little bit more. And you know, obviously the shaft is gathering a reputation on tour for being very anti-left for the right-handed player.
Yep, totally. Yeah. And Rory's ball flight, I know he missed a couple left, but it looked to me on Pro Tracer at the Masters that his best drives really just straight. And I think he used to play a little bit more of a draw. So maybe he's, as you say, maybe he's trying to neutralize. Maybe all these guys are just trying to neutralize, I guess, and play just little fades. And that's where this trend probably is coming from.
The best players never want to hit it. They never want to see it go left.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with tour players. They just don't ever want to see that ball kind of falling left because it just really messes with their timing. You know, if they miss it a little bit right, you know, they can sort of sink that back up and recover. But if that face is shutting down and it's snapping left, it's tough to come back from that.
So I know we mostly talked about tour players, which is not relatable for most people. But if someone was interested in Tensei shafts for the technology and just the quality of it, what percentage of people would fit into the blue and the white instead?
A lot more in blue, some in white. And less in orange, you know, way less in orange. If you're someone who really loads it, looking to eliminate left side, you know, looking to maybe go a little bit heavier in the head weight. I mean, you know, the Ping G400, for example, we've talked about how that is a heavier head weight club, and some people have actually said to me it feels a little too heavy to them in their hands. You know, pairing it with something like that could potentially work. But I would just encourage people that, you know, just because you see Tiger and those guys playing it, you know, I wouldn't go try it and make sure you like it before you invest in it. You know, in the Canadian market, that's a $600 shaft.
Exactly, and I would have been, had I never met you, I would have been guilty of that. I would have thought, oh, that seems to be doing well for a faster player. Let me order it and give it a shot. I would have taken it to the course and gone, uh-oh.
I know. Yeah, no, there's probably, for the majority of people, there's probably more appropriate bend profiles and shafts that will help them, you know, play more consistently. You can probably hit some of your longest drives with a shaft like this, but I don't expect it to be overly consistent.
Very cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That's something, you know, we picked up on over the last few weeks, that, you know, that shaft is getting a lot of tour buzz, and we obviously like to, you know, keep on top of what those guys are doing and talk a little bit about it with you guys. So more product reviews to come, and we'll talk to you again soon.